Anika, how are you
I
on
am
this
good.
happy Monday?
It's not Monday.
Wait, you know what? Today is not. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. I guess you're used to doing Monday.
I know, right? I am so
Don't
used
take
to
me
doing
back to Monday.
Mondays. Happy Thursday to you.
Happy Thursday to you too, Michael.
Yeah, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited about this topic, as I am with all the topics we discuss.
Yeah, this one right here, though, Anika. Mm-mm-mm.
I know.
This one right here, this is right here. So I guess we should, let me just do a couple things, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on this evening. If you wouldn't mind, please do us a favor, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, comment. We love comments, and we love hearing from you. So go ahead on and do that. Please share with other people. Let them know we are out here. Please subscribe to the channel. We would greatly appreciate it. Mandatory Conversations with Mike Johnson. And on Mondays, normally I have my co-host with me here, Anika J. Owens. But guess what? Today is Thursday.
Yeah.
And so we had to move and shift some things around. So we did do that. On tonight, this is going to be a good one. Topic tonight: false accusations, accountability, and the penalties. Should false accusers be jailed? All right. So now listen. Let's get this all teed up. This is about Stefan Diggs. All right. Stefan Diggs ran into a situation where he had some issues, Anika, with his personal chef, who was also his live-in chef, who was also probably allegedly maybe one of his girlfriends, allegedly one of his lovers. Mm-hmm. Some kind of way, the two of them had a falling out. And apparently, or at least it looks to be this way, nigga, you could correct me because I know you've done some homework on this as well. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they had a falling out. And of course, as falling outs happen, usually it's about money. Yeah. And apparently, or allegedly, she wanted Stefan Diggs to help her, I guess, open a restaurant. Maybe he wasn't feeling it, I read a couple of things, couple of articles, and 2 or 3 of the articles, Anika said that they were in this relationship and he kind of broke it off, or she got upset because he was seeing other people. It's kind of hard to know, right? Out here in these internet streets, what the real deal was. But here's what we do know. She accused him of sexual battery, specifically choking her, and I believe Anika striking her in the face. Yeah. And she reported it. She went to the police up in, where were they in? No, they were in New England. They're in New England. She went to the police department, filed a report, said this. Now, of course, Stefan Diggs is a big deal. Stefan Diggs, he and Cardi B are in a relationship at that time, kind of doing their thing. He's out playing, stupendous, out of his mind, and he could balling out on the football field. And then this comes up. Right. This kind of thing comes up, and it literally is jeopardizing this man's career. His whole entire career is on the line right now. Because, or partly because of this, largely because of this. And on tonight, I was talking to Anika before tonight, but I was saying, I was like, Anika, this is a problem. There are a lot of men, especially athletes and entertainers, who go through this, where they're, charged with these different things, but they really didn't do them. In some instances, yes, they do it, but they did do it. But we're talking about a lot of men now, entertainers, athletes, who they literally did not do this, but they were falsely accused. Yeah. What oftentimes happens is that these men will have to go to court. They'll sometimes wind up paying money so that this doesn't hit the news like this, so that the story kind of goes away and that these women get paid. But it comes out in the end that they never committed this crime. So I was talking to Anika. I said, Anika, something's got to be done about this. These women who are upset with these men, they file these claims, and oftentimes the women get away with it, Anika. There's no penalty to be paid. There's nothing that says, I messed up your career. Oh, well, this isn't the first time, and I'm sure this isn't the last time. There have been other documented cases where this has happened. So on tonight, we want to bring you guys in. We want to know what you think. This is specifically, we're going to talk about 2 different scenarios, but specifically about these women who do this. Should they be jailed for this? And should they be fined? Because countersuing them, I don't know, does all that much. Anika, this girl wasn't making that much money. She wasn't making Stefan Diggs money. So what are you going to sue her and get what?
Exactly.
Right. So on tonight, we want to know what you guys think, but we're going to deal with some other things too, because there's some mental things going on here as well that could be attributed to mental illness, not just on the young lady side, but also on maybe Stephon Diggs' side. And we're surmising, we're guessing. We don't know that this is to be the truth, but from other cases that look like this looks like it could fall into one of these categories. So with that, Nika, I turn it over to you. Want to hear what you have to say, and then we'll kind of get into this and go a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Again, thanks for bringing this topic to the forefront, because I think a lot of people are talking about it. So I think it's something that should be discussed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to start with just seeing her on the witness stand.
Can we please take our time with that, Nika? Just take your time there. Take your time.
And I really, and I'm sure you've kind of, been evaluating her too on the witness stand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was painful to see, because, Black women are already blamed for everything, I feel. And when you misrepresent, not that she represents me and all of Black women, but it's disheartening. You could tell she was lying. I can tell when people are lying just in their eyes.
Yeah.
She just did not seem, you could tell things were rehearsed,
Yep.
She was going off of a script.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very sad to see that someone would go through those lengths to, to harm somebody, or, just to falsely accuse somebody of something. I mean, the defense team couldn't even get out the questions. I don't understand that. Can you repeat that? Again, it was a rehearsed thing. So that alone was disheartening, and just looking how they kind of made her appear, just very damsel in distress, hair, put to the back. Everything was calculated, and kind of like a manipulative thing, like how they propped her on there. It was just really hard to watch, Mike. I'm going to be honest. It was really hard to watch her lie. And not to say that he didn't do anything wrong, but in this case, it was obvious that she was not being honest. So I'm going to start there. Then I'll let you kind of.
No, you're right, Nika. I went back, and I was, as you and I do, we'll go and do some research on these things, right? And I watched part of the trial, and I said, I'm only going to watch a couple clips, right? I only want to see a couple clips. But Nika, as it went on, I got sucked into it. And as I'm getting sucked into it, my wife is in the background. She's like, what are you watching? What is going on? Who's all that cussing? I'm like, well, let me explain this to you, because it's for the podcast. But Anika, it was so apparent that this girl was lying. If ever there was a case where someone should have said, we aren't taking this to court. What are we taking this to court for? Like, why are we doing this? Like, this is more harmful to the judicial system, I'm talking all the way through, than it is to him. Yeah. And certainly to her, because she literally got on that stand and perjured herself. And Anika, the one thing I did not see, I haven't heard about, maybe it's the case, nobody's like filing claims against this girl to say she perjured herself. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. But it's obvious, because they asked her several questions. There was one question they asked her, was like, okay, so you said Mr. Diggs never paid you, right? And he wasn't, around payment. And are you sure that? And she's like, yeah. So they said, okay, we have text messages between you and him that says he paid you in full. In fact, he paid you more. Then she was like, well, no, I'm not familiar with that. So they went through the text messages, Anika. They read the text messages. The girl's like, well, no, I don't know how to answer the questions. No problem. The lawyer says, here's what we'll do. We have printed copies of the text messages between you and him. They go through, ask her, is this you? Yes. Is this him? Yes. The green bubble is you. The other person is this person. All right, cool. They go through each line. They read it. Okay. And then she's like, well, I still don't know. I say, okay, no problem. You read it. And she's reading it. We're like, are you serious? I mean, it was that, and it was just more of that. And like you said, it just seemed like it was rehearsed. And I wondered at a point, why didn't the judge admonish the attorney who was representing her to say, you know what? And they didn't even declare a mistrial. I'm like, this should have been a mistrial. Why didn't like all this stuff come up? It was just really, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney by any stretch, but I've watched enough television like the rest of us. We TV lawyers over here, right? Well, Anika, she's married to an attorney, so she really probably knows the law pretty well.
Oh, I
But,
don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, it don't
You
spill
said you
on
don't
me,
cross.
Michael.
You let him take care of that. You take, okay, got it.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have had both seen enough TV where we're like, this girl is lying. And this man, and it was a shame because they dragged this man through it. So Anika, with that said, I had some questions. My first question is, why is it that Black men seem to get dragged like this through the mud, even if we know that this is not true? This was not a case where we had to go through all this and that to figure out that this girl was lying.
Yeah.
And I don't get that.
Yeah, I think in some cases where you have men initially, they're probably who have money, who have the status, who have the fame. They are, I won't say courting these women, but they are selling a lifestyle. So they're spending time with them. They're doing all the things to make them feel special initially, right? But the reality is some men can't maintain that, right? Because again, they get distracted. They got all these people kind of pulling at them and they like that validation. They like that feeling. And so you have men, and again, I'm not making this excusable, but you have men, some athletes who pour so much in initially because it's transactional. They want something.
Bingo.
And
the
so
girl wants something.
Yeah, they want something. So when they decide that, you know what, I'm done with you. I don't want you anymore. And they have a right to do that, right? So it's a mutual relationship. You guys in it, and you can decide that you want to end it. So a lot of women, some women who may not be emotionally mature, and they may be looking at things from a trauma lens because they have some unfinished business. They can look at that as an abandonment, rejection. You hurt me. So now I'm going to retaliate because you hurt me, right? So you got to be careful. So for some of these men, they don't have emotional discernment. Their risk perception is super low. It's just like they don't think abstractly about things. Like, okay, if I get into this relationship with this person, I do this and this and this. They don't think abstractly about, okay, if I do this and then I drop her, because you're dropping her. You're not going to maintain it. You don't consider, again, I'm not saying this is excusable, but you don't consider the consequences of that happening. And it sounds like it's happened a lot to him, Michael. He has been in, a lot of false accusation claims or what have you have been filed against him. So I think it's a combination of those things. There's not a lot of emotional maturity. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of broken promises. Because when you're with that person, you're trying to get something out of that person. So you're selling yourself. And then you decide, okay, I'm done with you. And then the retaliation comes.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so that is true. I think all of what you said is just true. But here's the converse of that. That's also true. These women who get involved with these men, and this is no knock against Stephon Diggs, but Stephon Diggs has other children. He has other women. These women going into it know this guy has all of this stuff, right? We'll call it stuff. And they decide to join in to the circus, and then they add their stuff to it. My question to you is, Anika, just like you said that, he doesn't have, or he's at this, I don't want to call him low IQ, but his I guess his emotional
maturity
quotient. Yeah. I mean, I would say the same thing for the woman as well.
Absolutely.
Because it's no way in my mind, and you can help me here, Anika, and I get this. You want to be with a celebrity, you want to be with a superstar, you want to be with this, but all of that comes with something. And in my mind, I don't believe he told her, you and I are going to be exclusive. I don't see him saying that because of his lifestyle, Anika. And even if he did, let's play this out. If he said he did, you can look at this man's lifestyle and see that's not the type of man he is. He's probably not a one-woman man. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. But if we look at his lifestyle doesn't say that he is. And in fact, it says the exact opposite. Right. And I think any woman and man could see that this is the case. So why involve yourself in something like that? In my mind, right, I believe it was all transactional from jump. You're going to do this for me, I'm going to do this for you. At a certain point, the train ride is going to be over. Where, we don't know. When, we don't know. But the train ride is going to come to an end.
Right.
But it sounded like to me, she didn't want the train ride to end. It sounded like she wanted more and more and more. And he was like, look, I didn't give you all that I'm going to give you. In fact, I've given you more than what I said I was going to give you initially, and you still want more. And I'm thinking in my mind, he's like, you know what? This is a problem. So let me end this right now. And we know too, whenever you have a situation where you cross the lines, and the lines become blurred, where you move from, I guess, a work relationship to now an intimate relationship, that's always going to be a problem. And you throw on top of that money into the mix as well, then you have all of these other things going on. And so a lot of times, and Anika, I would love for you to answer this for me. I've heard women say they can be involved with men intimately and it not mean a single thing, right? They can do, jump from here to there, whatever the case is, like a man does. I personally don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that they're out. I mean, I don't believe that there are not outliers, because there are outliers, and there are some women that can do that. But for the most part, it doesn't. And not from all of, from my experience and from people I've met, talked to, most women don't have that ability. They get caught up somewhere, and while they say they could walk away, they aren't able to do it. Not like a man. And this is not to put down men, because I'm a man myself. But I know men if something about women, and this is where you can fill the blank in for me. There's something about women that will not allow them to have, or do that, or express themselves, or be in that place, in that space, if you will. I'm trying to get too deep in it, but in that place and space where feelings and then intimacy come into play, where they could just break it off. Or it's just a one-time thing, and they could just keep going on and on and on and doing this, where men, they have that hunter instinct. They can do that. And a lot of times to their detriment, Anika, can't figure out how not to do that, right? Which is where you come in, and they come, go see someone to help them with what I would consider an addiction. Some people are addicted to, cigarettes. Some people are addicted to alcohol. Some people are addicted to sex. And they don't realize that they're addicted to sex, just like these people are addicted to, cigarettes or alcohol.
Right. Right, Michael, you're right in that it's not common for a healthy woman to be able to detach that way. But when you consider human behavior, it's so layered in your experience. It's so layered with so many different things. And you have a lot of women who have, whether it's unmet needs, trauma, rejection, fear of abandonment, of being abused. And so some women, like you said, naturally we are, we like to build connections with each other and nurture relationships. But if you didn't grow up in a healthy environment, it's almost like your survival to detach from people. You don't want to form those attachments. So it is possible. But like you said, the way we're built, we're not built to detach like that. But for a lot of women, for some women, if you have, a lot of trauma, you grew up in a lot of trauma in your life, it's easy to kind of detach, because it's how you protect yourself. I know you have some comments there, Michael. I don't know.
Let's see. We had just the one so far. That was Jermaine. I'll put it up so you can see it. I should have put this up so you can see it. He said, "Good evening, family and blessings," and I actually responded to him.
Oh, hey, Jermaine.
Said, good. I responded to him. I'll put it up next time. I apologize.
Yeah. I want to say hi too.
I know, right? I should have done that. You were talking, so I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, that's okay, Michael. Yeah. So I think it is possible though, but unfortunately it's due to those reasons, the layers of, what makes, human behavior based on those.
Yeah. I'd agree with you. Just jumping back to the question, the earlier question, what should we do about this, Anika? Where I would love to know your I guess your mental health side of it and your personal side of it. What should we do about people like this who, I don't know if this is her first time, because it just didn't seem like this would probably be her first time for her doing something like this. Maybe not with him, but someone else, something similar. But do you believe that we should have laws that says if you're the accuser and you know that you've accused a person and you falsely accused them, that there should come some automatic jail time and maybe even a fine with that? Because again, this man, literally his life is on the line. This is his vocation. This is what he does every day. In fact, this is how he paid her. And then he has I did find this interesting, Anika. He has an all-woman staff. His chief of staff is a woman. His hairstylist is a woman. His chef is a woman. The lady who does I think his massages and he gives liquid therapy. So he does the injections and all that kind of stuff, stay hydrated, so forth and so on. All these people are all women around him, right? Which I thought was interesting. I was like, he puts a large amount of trust in these women to help him take care and run his enterprise.
Yeah. So you're asking if she should do jail time?
In general, yes. And then secondly, in general, should we, do this? And I know a lot of times your question is, well, why did they do it? And I want to get to the why, but I want to get to this as well.
I don't know if I really believe that things are going to happen the way they should happen in some cases, right? It was clear, it was crystal clear that she was lying, right? I don't know. And if the possibilities of her destroying his reputation or what have you is wrong. It is dead wrong. Because I don't know, he could have done some time as a result of it if he didn't have.
He was looking like he was going to do some time, Anika. He was looking like it.
Yeah. So I think in situations like that, because this was the outcome, there needs to be intense counseling for people like that. I feel like I don't always want to scream mental health, mental illness, but in a lot of cases it is. So yeah, maybe she should do some community service. Maybe she should, do something that's going to help her be a better person. I just don't know if the prison systems, they work on rehabilitation, right? And so she should do something, but I think it should be something to help her as a person, because that was nasty. That was mean.
Let me ask you a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your statement.
Just to weaponize your victimhood. And so it's just like you weaponize that. You played victim and you weren't a victim. So that's wrong.
So let me, if the shoe were on the other foot, would you still feel that way?
Yeah, I would. Because I really feel like the truth came out, which is good. I would, because I feel like I don't know this young lady, and I don't know Stephen Diggs, but if he had actually did that, right? Had he actually did that, there should be consequences for that, right?
What consequences would it be? Would you give him jail time if he actually did do that? Would you have given him jail time?
Any form of physical abuse is wrong. I just don't feel like people should be thrown in jail. Because he could have, if he had done that, he could have killed her, right? He could have. If you strangle somebody, you can kill them.
Right.
I don't feel like jail is the answer for everything. I don't. But yeah, had he strangled her, when you say strangle, to me, that's a heavy word.
Yep.
You're trying to kill somebody. So yeah, if he was trying to kill her and he didn't succeed, I think yes, he should have gone to jail if he tried to kill her. Yeah.
The only issue I have with your argument is, what if he couldn't have proved this, but it was false? Social media. This is one of the problems that we have with social media, is that you're oftentimes convicted before the evidence actually proves otherwise, right? Or could prove otherwise, rather. And this man, they were tearing this guy up, Anika. They were tearing this guy. This guy was going to lose everything. He was going to lose not just his vocation, but he was going to lose his freedom. And this is what bothers me a lot. I think this girl should be put under the jail. Okay. I think the same rules that would have applied if he were to have done it should be applied to her jail time, because she falsely accused this man of something that was, and I think I know where you were going. Can we say that would have been heinous if he'd have done that? Can we say that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But he didn't do it. And so he would have gone to jail. And it's a lot of men sitting in jail. I'm not saying every man sitting in jail is is innocent, but I'm saying there are quite a few men sitting in jail for the same exact thing. And we know this, and we know, and listen, if this had been a white woman, oh my God, thank you, Jesus, this was not a white woman. Because even if he had not done it, I still think the outcome for him could have been far worse. And I do believe, because it was a black woman, he got some leniency in the sense that you know, he wasn't just all the way destroyed before this went to court. Because had this been a white woman, he could have been killed, right, by somebody. Because we know we have documented cases. Emmett Till was killed on a lie. This white woman lied and said he whistled at her. A simple whistle, Anika.
I know.
And the young man was killed. And there have been other cases where black men have been killed where they simply said they were, you know, a black man looked at them, much less touched them. Right. So, you know, to me, this is very serious. And I think they need to apply the same. This is just me speaking now. I think that same sentence should apply. And I think if people understood that the same sentence would apply, you'd have far less of this going on, man or woman. You'd have far less of it going on, because the chances are, wait a minute, if it's proven that I lied, I may actually have to suffer under the same sentence as the person that I just accused.
You know what, Michael, you're right. I would really, I guess I'm all about rehabilitation. And I just know the prison system. I feel like I really don't trust that their priority is rehabilitation. Yep. So, but you're right, because if it was a family member of mine, like if I put it more personal, if that happened to a family member of mine, what would I want done? And you're right, the emotional side of me would say lock them up, put them under the jail cell. But at the same time, I'm looking at, man, this is a sick person. This is a
very sick.
This is a hurt person. Not that, you know, not condoning the behavior because this person is, you know, sick. But man, like, where did you learn that? Like, who raised you? I often say it, like, who the heck raised you to be that way, where you normalize or weaponize being a victim? Because you hurt me because I feel hurt. You must have hurt me. You must have done something. So I feel justified because you hurt me. But what was the reason she said he slapped her or tried to choke her? What was the reason? I missed that part.
You know, I missed that part as well. I don't recall. I'd have to go back, but I don't recall why she said it. And to be honest with you, Anika, I don't even know that she did say why he did it. She just said that he did. She literally went to the police department, filed a report. You know, she did all the crying. Anika, she went through all of the emotions and all the whole 9 yards and got, you know, the attorneys involved, got the state involved, got the police involved. And when I looked at it, it just made me so mad because I said, I think it was a day after or days after, they have a video and I was going to play it, but I was like, you know what? We would get so down into a rabbit hole if I did. So I'm not going to do it. But they show her partying right after this week. Anika, this woman is partying. This man's life is on the line, and she's out here partying like it's 1999 out here.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't care at all that the man was going to be put in jail. You know, any number of different things could have happened to him. I don't believe jail is a place of rehabilitation either. But in this instance, I believe she needs to go to jail, and others like her need to go to jail who do this, because there are too many people too many lives put on the line because you lied, because Anika, you hurt. All of us get hurt by somebody at some point. I mean, every person on the face of this earth has been hurt by someone. All of us have, and sometimes we actually cause the hurt too, by the way, or have caused hurt or harm to someone else, by the way, as well, right? But for that to be the case, that was just crazy. I don't want to spend too much time on that because I think you know how I feel about it. I think the audience might know as well. And it seems though you looking at it through a different lens, you may feel the same way. But you and I talked about something, and this is the part I want to talk about on a mental health side of it, get more into that. Because we started talking, I was like, dang, I mean, I didn't say this to you, but I was thinking it. I didn't think about the fact that both of them actually have probably some mental health issues.
Yeah.
And this is where I would love for you to dive into it a little bit more. I know you started talking about her, but I want to talk about her a little bit more before we dive into him, because as you were talking, I was like, oh my God, you know what? There are a lot of men who suffer. And as we talked about some things, some other things were brought to my memory about past, instances, not for myself, but just in general, our past as Black people here in this country through chattel slavery and what it did to us and how we may have arrived in certain circumstances, instances where we are today. So I want you to talk about that, about possibly what her mental illness is. You started talking a little bit about abandonment, and if we can go down the list of what you think it is or these other things, and then get to him as well and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I think with her, it was something about just, I often look in people's eyes and I can see, and again, I don't know her, I don't know, but sometimes I can look in people's eyes and
what is it that you see, by the way? I'm sorry to cut you off.
There's this stare or this look, that this kind of blank look that people have when you can tell that they're not processing anything. There's nothing being processed at all. And when I looked at her, there was literally nothing being processed. She was literally rehearsing what her team had told her to say. She had nothing to offer at all. And you should have been able to offer something before the defense team could even get out the question. I don't understand. They say I haven't even finished my question. It was so clear. And I feel like there's an impairment there. I feel like there's a developmental delay. That's what I don't know her. I'm going to preface by saying that, but it appeared to be a developmental delay. And a lot of times developmental delays can come from just not really meeting, you didn't meet all your milestones growing up for whatever reason, whether you were, trauma starts in the womb again. So it could be a number of things that could have taken place with this young lady, but it was something in her eyes that told me that she wasn't processing anything. It was just trying to remember. And they only gave her limited language because they probably didn't believe that she could really hold her own. Yep. Just say this. Say it, and just repeat it. And that's literally what she did. She did whatever they handed to her. That's what she did. But getting to her mental health, again, like I said, when I talk about human behavior and how layered it is, it could be a multi-faceted of things that could be wrong. And a lot of times when you grow up in, when people grow up in situations where there's a lot of trauma, they can feel like because I was harmed, I must be, because I was harmed, it must be real. And so she could even project whatever happened between her. Let's say something did happen between the two of them. And so through her trauma lens, she could kind of, because she hasn't healed from whatever trauma she may have encountered, she could use this situation as if it's what she's reliving her past, right? It probably was something very similar to what she experienced in the past that made her feel like, this is similar. So I'm going to apply what I went through in my past to this situation, almost rewriting the whole scene, rewriting it to fit her own internal narrative. And so sometimes people who have unresolved trauma can have a tendency to do that because they're looking at things from a trauma lens. And I'm not saying this is her, but some people do that. They look at things from a trauma lens and they apply it accordingly to each situation because they are afraid to approach the real issue. So I'm going to use this issue as, the thing that I'm going to showcase as the real issue, when in fact it's not the real issue. You're just projecting. So, and then the families normalize that. Some families normalize just that whole, weaponizing victim, being a victim.
Yep.
People weaponize that.
Do you think, by the way, that because she was pretty, that has something to do with that whole thing of maybe normalizing and looking at, that whole thing, just kind of glazing by everything else? Hey, Gwen, we got another comment in there. She says, hello to you, Gwen. Good to have you on. And would love to have you come in. She's the right one to have comment with us on tonight. But do you think that was part of it? Like, because I know there's a thing that Kevin Samuels, the first time I'd ever heard it, and I don't mean to inject his name so much, but he talked about pretty privilege. And he talks about how pretty privilege is women who enjoy the benefits of being pretty. Like they get a whole lot of things given to them. And also they're forgiven of a lot of things because they are pretty. And this young woman, she's definitely a very attractive woman. Which is why I believe Stefan had her on the staff as a chef, because if he was smart, he would have got somebody that could probably cook. I don't know if she could cook or not, but I think he might have chosen her based on how she looked versus how she cooked. I don't know.
Yep, because she had body yaddy yaddy too, right?
Woo, she's a beautiful girl.
Yeah, I mean,
she crazy, but she beautiful.
Right. Just say body. Oh my God. But again, men fall for that. After you,
yes,
after pretty, then what? And that's what I often tell people. Oh, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. She's beautiful. But after pretty, then what? What do you have? Nothing. For some women, you have nothing. But people all, I got a pretty, woman on my arm. Look at me. Look at me. Okay.
Well, hold on, Anika. We got to be fair because women do the same thing. You out here messing with this thug life dude. Goddamn, well, he ain't worth 2 cents. You didn't pass by every man that would have been much better for you. But Mr. Thug Life over here was a lot more interesting. So you decided to go with Mr. Thug Life instead of Mr. I'm going to take care of you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, people definitely, she was a pretty girl, but I think that was it.
Yeah, that was definitely it. And then what was interesting, because we talked about this, Anika, and you really made me think about it, and we talked about this a little bit, is that what was going on in Stefan Diggs' mind, or what rather is going on in his mind, where he keeps coming up, his bingo card keeps coming up with this same thing on the bingo card. Like it doesn't look any different than it was before. It's the same person in a different body. Like literally, it is the same thing over and over again. And we know, I believe it was Einstein said, I said this to you, I should have looked it up, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, believing you're going to get a different result. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing when you're dealing with these women. You're dealing with the same type of woman. Why do you think you're going to get a different result? And we talked a smidget about this, but I really want to talk to you about it because we started talking about how, at least from my standpoint, I argued from the standpoint of, I believe we still trauma-wise have not gotten beyond slavery. There's some of the vestiges of slavery still linger and are still with us today, especially as we get to being what men were called as bucks. So they were responsible for creating all these children, and they weren't looked at as children, though. They were looked at as property, as money, as something that could be bargained to get this or that. And you were often lauded if you were a man who could produce a lot of children. Mm. You were often seen as a different kind of man, right? Mm-hmm. And that has been, for the most part, I hate to say this, but it has passed down from generation to generation. Although we're not in slavery, sometimes we still hold on to these thoughts and to these practices where we still, somewhere in the back of our minds and in our spirit, I believe this, Anika, in our spirit, is still there. Absolutely. That thing has not been ejected out of our spirit. And so as a young man, I saw this a lot. I definitely, and I think most Black men, especially as kids, you see this, the more girlfriends you got, the more girls you get, you're the man, you're this, you're that. And so that takes on a whole nother life, Anika. Yeah. I mean, when I tell you, if you aren't careful, you will go down a rabbit hole into believing that you're the man and that, all these other things, Anika, they just come with as a benefit rather of being a man and doing these different things. And so, I'll let you take it from there, but we got some unraveling to do. We got some work to do here in that space.
But I think what a lot of athletes have to realize is that just because someone may be attracted to your lifestyle, that doesn't mean they're attracted to you. And I think there's no introspection with some people who have money because they feel like they can just get what they want. So, and I think that's it. That's the big thing with, a lot of athletes. There's no introspection. No. There's, this can't happen to me. There's no abstract thinking like, if I do this, this can happen. If I do this, this can happen. There's no abstract thinking about anything. It's like they're very impulsive. And I think, I'll be honest, Michael, I feel like a lot of people suffer with ADD. ADHD.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So they're very impulsive. People with ADHD are very impulsive. Like, I want sex. You don't think about who you're getting it with and what you could be doing. So there's no introspection at all. It's just do it because I want it, and that's it. And it's just like, where's the process of thinking about the consequences of your actions?
Yeah, I would agree with that on both sides. Gwen says, we as women love projects. Is that true? Anika, is that true? Thank you, Gwen, for sharing that. And then Gwen also says this. Let me put this up before you answer that question. She says, same thing, just a different face. But hold on a second. Let's go back here. Y'all love projects, huh?
I don't.
But would you agree with Gwen? I guess maybe a majority or a lot of women like projects.
Well, let me say this, Gwen. I think that's so funny that she says this, because I had someone say to me, I counsel couples, and I heard a woman say, she didn't say this in front of her husband, but she said, I had to raise my dream man.
Oh my God. Oh,
I was like, oh boy. It was just like, woo. So Gwen, to speak to what you're saying, we as women love projects. I think it's so sad. Like, I live in a neighborhood where people, like, we have 3 kids. People don't teach their kids how to be self-sufficient. In my neighborhood, people are hiring lawn services, all these different things, and have boys in the house. Yep. And they don't know how to do a doggo. They don't know how to change a tire. They don't know how to cut grass. They don't know how to plow snow. My kids, when people in my neighborhood see all these lawn services and my kids out there mowing grass, shoveling snow, and my daughter cut grass too, they be like, why y'all won't just get a lawn service? I said, because we got 3 very healthy kids that can do it. So Gwen, to speak to what you're saying, a lot of times we end up, having to build a husband because people are not allowing their children to do things. They got to think. You ain't got to worry about that, baby. I'll get somebody. I'll hire, because we got the money. We'll hire somebody to do it. But you're not teaching them anything. So you're setting them up for when they do get in a relationship, they ain't gonna know how to do nothing. So Gwen, I don't like projects. I really try to raise my boys and my daughter to be self-sufficient. I mean, not to say I don't want them not to need somebody, but it's just like, man, you should know how to cut grass. You should know how to change a tire.
But she's right, though. I'm going to be honest with you in one respect. And to your point as well, I don't know what's happened with parents and not making their children do chores and these simple things, learning some home economics, boys and girls, and then just learning how to, what we would have considered, this is basic training for being a man. Like, you cut grass. Like, one of my earliest jobs I can remember, Anika. I'm talking to Gwen too.
That's why Gwen too.
To Anika and Gwen. Yeah. One of my first jobs as a young man was cutting grass. My dad was in the military, and in the military on Air Force bases. Now because he was in Air Force. I don't know what it's like today, but Anika, he told us, "Listen, I'm not cutting grass." It was 3 boys. I'm not cutting grass ever. I'm not mowing. He said, I will buy you a mower. I will buy all the things for you to mow. And he had to actually buy us clipping things, because in the military, they do inspections of yards. So it couldn't be grass in the cracks. The grass had to be, trimmed a certain way. The bushes, shrubs, all that stuff had to be done a certain way. And so he was like, hey, listen, I'm going to teach y'all how to do this. And then from this point forward, you ain't got to ask me. I'm not paying you either, by the way. That's not something, this is not a chore. This is like a chore that you earn money for. You live here. This is a part of maintaining a house. He taught us how to change the brakes, how to change oil. We would have to they had a hobby shop on base. On a hobby shop, you could go do that stuff. You pay a certain amount of money. You could change your own oil, your tires. You could drop a new engine in a car. You could do any and all of these things. So I learned how to do all that stuff earlier, to your point. And we don't do that today. We just don't. And then my second point was, and this is for all the women watching, you can't raise a man to be a man. That's impossible. I know you probably think you can. That's impossible. It will never, ever happen. If that man has decided he is going to be a way, that's the way he's going to be. If he's decided he's going to be a different kind of man or a different way, that's what he's going to be. You thinking you can raise a man or take care of a project and make him into the man of your dreams and all that, you ain't gonna never win. And I'm sure that these women have found that out a number of different times. And I've met a ton of women. I mean, a ton who have tried this project thing, and they all said the same thing. It was a mistake. Yeah. Because if you don't have it in them to do from the beginning, Anika, or she does not, it's like me trying to raise a wife. What do I look like trying to raise a wife? The Bible says she is a wife even before I meet her. Yeah. I mean, I'll find her. I will literally find my wife. I mean, I can't raise a woman to be a wife. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, I can't put it in her. Now, I can show my daughters what I think men are looking for in a wife. Absolutely. And I did that. And my wife now, on the other hand, she can teach them and show them a lot better than I can. Why? Because she's a woman and a wife, and not just a woman and a wife, but an excellent wife. So yeah, she could do that. You know, I mean, I don't know where we get these, where women get that from, ladies. I'm just trying to tell you something. You don't have to believe me. Keep on doing these project things. Watch how your feelings get hurt. Watch how much time you waste. Watch how much, how many of your friends will tell you, why are you doing that? It's pointless. They're probably telling you it's pointless because they've been through it and they know what to expect.
Yeah. But you got a lot of man-childs and a lot of woman-childs out there.
Absolutely. You do. But they got to decide to not be a man-child or a woman-child.
But that requires introspection. And
it does.
People are so afraid at looking on the inside and say, where did I go wrong? What did I mess up? Because even with Stefan Diggs, he needs to do some introspection. It's just like, you keep living this life on the edge and thinking that, nothing's going to touch you. You're going, at some point, it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah, I 100%. That's 100% true. Gwen says you had to be the example for your daughter. Absolutely right. 100%. I had to be. And if I had sons, I'd have to be the example for my son, right? She's absolutely true. I did want to mention this because you and I talked about this a little bit. And I think maybe you were like, I don't know about that. One of the things that I've come to learn about being around men who have means, who have money, who have resources, they think differently, especially now, especially these younger guys. They will literally pay to make a problem go away or pay to not have a problem.
Yeah, that's the issue.
And this is what I mean by this. So when you talk about Stefan Diggs, because you were starting to make this point, he does no introspection. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he does, and neither do you. That's what we're guessing. That's what we're assuming, right? We're assuming this because we're watching patterns be formed. And we look at what he's done from this one to this one. Most of these men out here with that kind of money and stuff, Anika, they will pay to make women go away, meaning it's a transactional relationship. You want sex, I want money. Okay, how much money, how much sex? All right, we got a contract of some sort, maybe not on paper, verbal, whatever the case is, and all the other things that go into this. But when it's over, said and done, Anika, I don't want to see your face unless I want to see your face again. And for them, this is what they believe. I'm not saying what I believe, but a lot of time, this is what I've heard. They just believe it's a convenience. It's like going to get a car. I got a car. I like the car. I don't like the car anymore. I get rid of it. I had as much fun with the car as I'm going to have. Now I need me another one. And there's no attachment to this person whatsoever. And they don't even want attachment, Nika. They want one thing. It's to satisfy their physical needs. Yeah. And this is where I have an issue with some women who say, well, I didn't know he was like that. This is where the introspection comes in. How is it that you did not know that? Or did you not want to know that? Or did you ignore the fact that this is who he was because he was giving you all the stuff you said you wanted?
Yeah. Goes back to being attracted to the lifestyle and really not being attracted to the person. And I think men, some men and women are okay with, like you said, that transactional relationship, and they're okay with it being limited. I know this is only gonna last. She knew it was only going to last for a limited time, so let me get something out of it before I exit. Let me get this benefit package going. Let me really get something, that's worth something so I can sustain my lifestyle until I get to the next person and the next person. And so,
yeah.
so
Gwen said red flags are always waving. And before you respond to that, Anika, you just made me something, you just jarred something in my memory. And I don't know if this is the case or not, but I think the reason why she actually did all of this, why she went to the police, filed a complaint, went to court, all that, she was expecting for Stephon Diggs to actually help her open a restaurant. I don't know. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. They mentioned it in court several times. And I don't know if the reason why she did all of this was because he said, I'm not paying for all of that. I'm not going to help you get a restaurant. You on your own. I believe, and I'm guessing if anybody knows anymore, I'm going to go back and do some research after this. But I believe that was the reason why she did that. I'm not saying that is the reason why, but I think that's the reason why she wound up doing it. Because they asked her in court about, wait a minute, so you thought Mr. Diggs was going to get you or help you with a restaurant? And she said, yes, that's what he said he was going to do.
Yeah. So you make these promises, it's just like, again.
But did he make her a promise? We don't know.
But I'm going to say this.
Even if he did make her a promise, did all of what she did validate? Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Yep.
But what I'm saying that I would hope that this situation would allow him to really look within himself, and not like you said, patterns, not continue to repeat these same patterns, because truth be told, he's done this in other relationships. There's been other cases filed against him or what have you. And again, I'm not saying it's right, but a lot of times when women allegedly, when people are hurt, they want to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm hurt, I must have been harmed. So again, so you create this narrative in your head that, because she said he slapped her. He slapped with his right hand
against her right cheek
on the left or on the right.
I think she said he slapped her with his right hand on her right cheek.
Yeah, like how do you back it? It's like everybody was just like, how do you do that? It's like I would have to do like this.
Right. It was just a mountain of lies.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, Nika? It was almost like she's the only one that don't realize she ain't here lying.
Because, Michael, I'm going to tell you, something didn't seem, them eyes, look at them eyes.
What is it? But listen, you got to describe it. So when I see a crazy person, I know it. Well,
you know what, Michael? I hate the word crazy. I never like it. Because as a mental health professional, I never like to call people that.
Okay, so what should I have said? What's the right term I should? What should I say?
Well, it's just that there's a detachment. There is.
Okay.
There's an impairment.
Impairment. Gotcha.
There's a mental impairment, a developmental delay.
Okay.
You can see it. You can see it. It's like I said, it was in her processing. It was in her eyes. Like I said, if I had more connection with her, but it's not to say that she was on the spectrum or anything like that, but you can tell that there was a developmental delay because she could not process anything on her own to say, not even the lie. She wasn't able to process. She couldn't streamline words together to make it make sense. So when you see somebody that, just like you said, she was just like this. It was just a kind of a stare. It was like a stare, and like, okay, what did they tell me to say? What did they do?
Right.
She was scanning. She was scanning to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to say? And she only had the one line to say. With all due respect, I could tell, like, something's going on there.
Yeah, that was crazy because, well, let me just do this real quick. So Gwen says the thing that got me was when they showed the video of her dancing right after. Gwen, so you just joined us, but I talked about this at the top of the hour when we started. I was like, that was crazy to me as well. Like, you didn't think this was gonna get out? Like, you didn't think people a real detachment.
It's that right there, Michael, right there. If I'm gonna play this to the fullest, get me on camera, like,
right.
Get me on camera holding my right face. Get me on camera doing something else, and
Yeah, she was out partying. And too, now that Gwen mentioned this and you said what you just said, they asked the police and they said, hey, listen, when she came in, visibly when you saw her, did it look like she had any marks, anything on her face or on her neck that would suggest that she had been slapped or strangled or both? He was like, nah. And then the lawyer followed up. He said, are you sure? He's like, yeah, because visually, when we see that, we have to take a step that he said he didn't take, right? Like he has to do an extra thing. And he was like, no, I didn't do it because I didn't see that was the case.
Yeah.
But to your point with her, I'm thinking it back now, and the way she was looking, you could tell she had some impairment because she couldn't even stick to the line, Anika. They was like, say this, and she was like, well, hell with that. And you know what else he did? He did this, this, and this. And he had to tell her a couple of times, strike all that. Yeah. And she was like, but he did. And he was like, no. That wasn't the answer to the question. You just added something that we didn't even ask you. So we're going to take this all off. And she just kept doing it over and over and over. And they had to tell her, it's like, listen, don't keep doing this. We asked you a specific question. Listen, yes or no, don't add anything to this. It was crazy.
Yeah. And let me say this. I don't want to, I said something earlier about ADHD. ADHD does not mean you're not smart, because ADHD people are very smart. They have a different way of learning, but they can be very impulsive and not think about what they should be doing. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. ADHD people are not, we all got a little ADD in us, just some distraction or what have you. Because I know I can get distracted, but I wouldn't diagnose myself like that. It's just, I think everybody can get distracted a bit. But ADHD people are super smart. They're lawyers, they're doctors, they're teachers, they're musicians, they're clothes designers, they're therapists, they're engineers. So I want to make sure I say that. But I just feel like sometimes if you're not, if it's not being treated, and if it goes undiagnosed, these are sometimes the things that you see in people, just being impulsive and not making the best decisions.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that 100%. Any closing statements for the folks as we get ready to get out of here, because we're just about done.
Yeah,
get ready to wrap this thing up. Anything you would want to leave with the folks as it relates to either the young lady or Stefan Diggs, that you just really want people to know and be, I don't know, just be aware of?
I think it's important to understand that human behavior is layered. And again, I don't want to throw people away, but understand that people's experiences are layered, whether it's trauma, whether it's unmet needs, whether it's fear, rejection. A lot of times it speaks to how they're going to show up. And I think people should really be sensitive and mindful of that. Ask questions. And, if you have somebody before you that's, acting, inappropriately, I think the thing that bothers me is that she doesn't have good people around her. She had nobody, or even Stefan Diggs. I shouldn't say they don't, because I don't know that. But to not hold a person accountable, when you have people around you that are stepping out of line, why aren't we holding people accountable to do better?
You know why? Because there's money, Anika. Like, if somebody's paying you enough, and I'm not saying you, I'm just making a general statement.
I know.
If somebody's paying you enough, you'll look the other way. Like, when we think about this, like, I mean, think of just real quick. I don't want to take us off track here, but when you think about Congress and they're supposed to be helping the American people, and the American people just keep getting a butt end of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they know what the right thing to do is, but all of a sudden somebody sprinkle a little bit of this on them. Man. They're like, I saw what? What?
Ooh.
You see that?
Man. The thing is, Mike, I'm a lover of people. I am a lover of people.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Made me a therapist. And so when people do wrong by people, I don't get that.
Yeah.
Man. Why would you do that? But again, if that's how you were raised, it becomes normal.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you just said. And when they get some sort of enlightenment, when it happens to them. We see it now, right? We see these people, they're like, oh, because it's happening to my family members, he ain't right. He should have never did this. I ain't voting for him. But we like, wait a minute, when it was being done to the other people and you quite clearly saw it, you didn't have a problem with it. Well, I didn't know it was going to be like that. Well, wait a minute. You saw that man get beat down, that woman get beat up, kicked, smacked. all that stuff taken from her, and you thought that, in any event, we won't get onto that. Listen, thank you guys for joining us. My 2 cents is this. Man, I'm so glad that this thing went the right way. I'm so glad that Stephon Diggs got the justice he deserved. I am so glad that it did go to court, and some things came up that we could quite clearly see that this is a pattern, and not necessarily just by her, but by other women and men as well that do this, where they go out and because they are hurt, they figure out a way to hurt somebody else. And in this instance, I'm so glad that justice prevailed, because not only was she trying to take away his livelihood, and I don't know that she thought about this or thought this far or did any introspection whatsoever, but she could have had this man arrested, put in jail, and God knows what would have happened to him in jail, right? He would have been improperly sentenced and put in jail for God knows how long, and had to endure God knows what being in prison. And so for me, I find that very, very, of course, harmful. And I believe that the justice system needs to correct this. There's a correction needed. And in my humble opinion, the correction is that if someone falsely accuses another person, especially as egregious as this was, that they should be subject to the same sentencing guidelines that the person who, if they, had done the crime, they should be subjected to that as well. I believe that would cut down on a number of these cases, and people would think 3 times before they decided to move forward and, going to an attorney or going to the justice system to seek justice because you have been harmed. Or in this instance, it sounds like, and we don't know, you've been heartbroken. Mm-hmm. All of us have suffered some sort of a broken heart, but it doesn't call for you trying to take away someone's livelihood or having them put in jail. That's absolutely wrong. And so again, I'm glad for him that wasn't the case. I'm also glad that these attorneys were very able attorneys, and they were able to prove very easily that this woman was lying. On the other side of this, to Anika's point, I do believe that she needs some help. Yeah. Actually, not just her, but also Stephon Diggs, and if Stephon is listening to us, please, man, go get some help. Recognize that you're making some very bad decisions. This one, thank God, you did not suffer. Well, you did suffer from it, but the consequences could have been far worse, but they weren't. Mm-hmm. But don't let this happen again, and break the cycle and the pattern so you don't have to endure this again. Because guess what, brother? If this girl thought she could do it, I'm sure there are others in line who think they can do it as well. Yeah. So please be careful. And this is not just a message to Stephon, but to others as well, men and women. In any event, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you. To everybody that commented, that joined, thank you. Please do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the channel, comment. The algorithm loves when you do that. It's the only way we can get the message out. Anika and I, we love people, we love relationships, and we want to do every single thing we can to help relationships get better. So that is it for us on tonight. Catch us on Monday. And Anika, can I talk about what we're going to do on Monday?
Yeah, go for it.
So listen, on Monday, we're going to be talking about dating 50 plus. And we're going to talk about all the things that happen that take place when you're 50 plus out in this dating space, because, man, there's a lot going on in these streets, Anika.
Oh, I know.
It's a lot going on. So a lot going on.
You're going to have some special guests. You're going to have some guests.
Yes, on, right? Yes. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to have a few special guests on. So, Anika, you want to talk about the special guests you've invited, and I'll talk about the special guests I've invited?
Yes, I think on my podcast last week, we talked about relationship readiness and rating women and men with numbers, and how we don't want to be reduced. For me, I don't want to be reduced to a number. Mm-hmm. So Neil and Tanya actually went to high school with them. Neil was a year behind us, and me and Tanya, we graduated the same year, and they're in their 50s and they're single. So what is it? What are some of the challenges of being 50 and single and wanting to date?
Yep. And I've invited two guests on, two people I know, Jeff Anderson and Veronica Bell. They're going to join us, and they're going to talk about what their experience has been like as a 50-plus-year-old dating. Some of the likes, some of the dislikes, the lessons learned, what they would do differently, and some more. So if you are 50 plus, this show is going to be fun. It's going to be engaging, and it's going to be one that we get a chance to learn some different things about how we could do this thing better, because there are a lot of 50-somethings out here dating, and they want to do it better, and they're looking for eligible people, and they're looking for like-minded people. So maybe we can talk about some of those things to help us get together. Not Anika and I, because we're already married, but to help you all, you 50-plus-year-olds, get together and to find maybe a love connection. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be nice, Michael? Because I love talking about it, but I'm ready to see some action.
I know, right?
Let's put some things in practice. Let's do it.
Exactly. So listen, thank you so much. Tune in on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anika and I